Adjectives like warm, fat, thin, cold, and my personal favorite, organic, are thrown around in pretty much every forum, website, or YouTube comments section that's dedicated to synthesizers. But what do these really specific descriptors mean when we're talking about an instrument that makes sounds by converting electricity into fairly simple waveforms? Well, I'm not a scientist, but I have seen a Ben Jordan video, and I do have a phone and Google. Google's dictionary defines organic as produced or involving production without the use of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, or other artificial agents. Let's try something else. Relating to or derived from living matter. There's wood here. Let's try organism. A climax of sexual... I don't think that's it. How about biological organisms? Living things that are capable of reacting to stimuli, reproduction, growth, and homeostasis. Okay, so obviously a synthesizer is not a living, breathing thing. In fact, I can't think of any instruments that would qualify as such, even though they may be made from materials that were once alive. Thinking of it in a literal sense, no, a synthesizer can't be organic. And those definitions were only slightly helpful. But here's my personal interpretation of what those words mean when applied to the world of synthesis and sound design. Non-stagnant, constantly moving, evolving, imperfect, somewhat unpredictable. All words that we associate with living things. Maybe that's why we have a strong affinity for things that are analog, because we ourselves are kind of the ultimate analog device. This is also the reason that I like to use tape loops and cassette tapes and all manner of things to introduce natural imperfections into my sounds that I use in my tracks. Because there's something very human about having things degrade over time, because as a person in my mid-30s, I am becoming fully aware that we degrade over time. And there's something great about things that never do the exact same thing the exact same way twice. Now this is all well and good, but it's a little abstract. So how would we actually apply these attributes of living matter into our synthesis and sound design? Well, we're going to have to take the tools at our disposal in the world of synthesis to take a stagnant, non-living, breathing, evolving thing and make it not that way anymore. Sitting in front of me right now is a synthesizer that is completely digital. There is nothing analog about the Waldorf Iridium. But we're going to use its fake analog engine just so that we can see how we can get even the most sterile, hospital-esque sounds moving and more interesting and organic by using modulators, things that will help make the sound more imperfect, more evolving, all of those things that we've just described. So right now we have a very simple sawtooth wave, no filters, it's not moving at all, and as you can hear, it's remarkably uninteresting. I'm just going to set latch and start crafting a drone that is more interesting. I'm going to filter that down ever so slightly so that it's somewhat less obnoxious. If I go back to my oscillator, in the Iridium, I can actually add waveforms on top of each other within one oscillator. And then I can detune. What if I got this waveform moving a little bit? Can change the warp to add more harmonics or even morph it into a square wave. And I can use one of our LFOs to do that. Slow that down. What if I wanted this detune to come and go as well? What if I wanted to add a second oscillator and detune that one slightly for even more beating within the waveforms? Let's make this one a square wave and modulate the pulse width with another LFO. What if I modulated the speed of LFO1 with LFO2? What if I used my two filters, pen filter 2 to the right, pen filter 1 to the left, set them up to move in opposition with one another, then had another LFO adjust the filter cutoff. Now what if LFO 1's speed, which is being affected by LFO 2, controlled the speed for LFO 3? What if I lower the octave? What if I had an envelope gradually bring oscillator 2 in and out? What if I ran the whole thing through a comb filter? And then modulated this comb filter with another LFO. What if I ran the whole thing through a reverb to give it some natural sounding space? Very quickly, we've gone from something sterile to something that is more organic in the way that we use the word organic, even though it might not be entirely an accurate description. As you can see, we can achieve some of those living, breathing, evolving results using the tools here at our disposal. If you want to learn more about the basics of synthesis and how to use all of these things to get more life into your own patches, you can click the first link in the description. For absolutely free, get a 20-minute walkthrough of the basic building blocks of subtractive synthesis, and that will help you apply these things to any synthesizer that you may own, whether it be hardware or software, to make your patches hopefully even more interesting. As always, if you like this video and got anything out of it, there's a small button below this video that is shaped like this that you can click, and that will really help me out with the YouTube robots. If you want to see more stuff like this or just enjoy hearing Billy Bob Thornton talk about synthesizers, you can click subscribe, because I'm going to continue to make these, and I've tried every scientific method possible, gone through many experiments to attempt to remove my accent, and doctors say that we just don't have the technology. So